Zach Green, thank you for taking some time out of your day.
Thank you for having me.
You are going to be featured at this year's Calgary Underground Film Festival, specifically with your short film Cancer Season. That's part of the shorts package called That Special Someone. I just want to very briefly, I'm just going to read the quick synopsis of what they at least
Yeah.
put up on the website, which was a modern witch casts a body swapping spell that grants her the relationship of her dreams at a fatal cost. And so my first question, of course, is how have you been reading my diary?
Oh, I mean, I just have this feeling about people. I know everyone's darkest
That's right.
secrets.
That's right. I mean, that is kind of the, I guess, hacky question I need to start off with, which is like, where did this come from? Was there a moment of inspiration or has this been building for a while?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely. I'll give you kind of two answers. Like the original script that I wrote trying to make this was actually not a body swap movie at all. Didn't have any magical elements, did not have a witch. But I wanted to make something with my kind of core group of friends that I went to film school with, and a lot
Hmm.
of the people that worked on this, I either went to my undergrad at the U of C for film studies or was trained at NUTV at the U of C, so the campus TV station.
Right.
And throughout the pandemic, I was like, oh, I feel like we're adults and we're competent and we could make a funded film and we could make something really good. And then it kind of took some working up to myself. And then this year, it was kind of like I needed to create pressure to
Mm.
be like, okay, we're gonna write something and we're gonna make it. So I was in my second year of my master's at Toronto Metropolitan University in screenwriting, and we had a my supervisor was actually Adam McGoyan,
Oh,
and we
wow.
had
Okay.
a
I like that little
class with
name
him
drop
where
you
the
just put in
final
there, but yeah.
assignment it's like it's almost embarrassing. Like it's like
Yeah.
it's not embarrassing, it's awesome. It was a great experience, but it's whenever I say it I feel like I'm annoying. Like I'm like not trying to yeah, it was a great experience.
Mhm.
But we had like a little seminar with him, and that was kind of the me being like, okay, let me write something as queer as well, actually the first version wasn't that queer, but I
Mhm.
wanted to make a queer film set in Calgary. The original version was more something like if HBO's Girls was set in Calgary, Alberta, which
Sure.
I wrote it. I was like, this is fun. It's a fun character. I sat with it and was like, this is a little normal. Like this is a little I need to make something more distinct, and I
Hmm.
wanted to make something more like with some more genre elements. So it's always called Cancer Season. I am a Cancer, and I guess like through adult life, I've been like, wow, water signs were known to be emotional, and I'm also like a very imaginative person and someone that has gotten like intense crushes throughout my life or like struggles to let things go that do have like
Sure.
a lot of emotional weight to me. So like I love using astrology as like a tool for introspection. And I would say I do believe in it, but it has, its time and place. And it was a great tool for introspection and a tool for character building of kind of looking at this occasionally problematic
Hmm.
trait of mine of like kind of an emotional tendency to just not let go of like a certain fantasy or a certain
Right, right.
desire or crush. And it's like, okay, what if I was a witch and I could manifest this thing in a way
Mhm.
that was really ethically dubious, and then that was just a great engine for a story.
I mean, luckily you were
Yeah,
talking to
that's
another
much of
cancer
it.
here, which
Oh, incredible. Okay.
I don't ask this to try and steal your identity, but like what date? When is your actual birthday?
Mm. July 11th. I'm 7/11.
Shut
It's my
up.
birthday.
I'm
Is
July
that
11th
yours?
too. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's crazy. Yeah,
FYI, I always on my
that's
birthday
wild.
go
Well,
to 7-Eleven and pretend that the free slushie is for me specifically, but
I do that as well.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
the
I
7-Eleven board community is
I know,
strong.
right? I know. I was leading up to though asking of like using astrology as kind of that basis. Does it feel hard to come out of your shell? That is kind of like the thing about cancers, right? Like
Hmm.
keep things close to yourself, and then slowly but surely you do release things once you feel safe. So is that true for this, I guess, film project for you?
It's interesting. Like, I feel like the best art does come when you're forcing yourself to come out of your
Hmm.
shell, and the best writing happens when you're really honest with yourself.
It
I
can
think
feel
with this,
cathartic at the end of the day too.
exactly. And I think especially with like genre stuff too, I think this is also kind of speaking to what I'm struggling with my current writing is
Hmm.
it's really helpful when your magic kind of has a basis in a real metaphor, real emotions. So with this, it kind of like this body swap and this kind of insecurity with this character's real self, they align really nicely with kind of the magic I'm working with.
Right.
Right now I'm working with I'm writing a different project. It's about like it's similarly body swappy
Hmm.
like it's like about a kind of consensual possession. And with that one, I'm like, because it's a feature, it's longer, and I feel like the feelings I'm exploring are like almost too ambitious, but then sometimes I'm like, this is too vague. So with the short format, I'd say it landed
Hmm.
nicely. It was like, okay, ABC. That's how we went through it.
I want to talk just briefly about the actual production of it. So you've written your script. How do you go about finding your collaborators?
It was a nice little mishmash of a lot of people I already knew, and then a few people that I was developing new kind of creative
Hmm.
partnerships with. So it started with me reaching out to Kevin Dong, Calgary icon, and
Right.
we worked together at the Calgary Cinematheque. He did the programming, and I did the communications, and we were like the only staff. So we had a really good working dynamic from that. And then we also had a
Mhm.
similar background and both kind of being trained at NUTV. We both went to the University of Calgary for film studies. Great mentor, great someone that just like wants to put his energy into making great films in Calgary. And then I also reached out to my friends Maeve Kaggis
Hmm.
and Jack Parker, who I both knew them kind of through a mix of like NUTV and just the general film community. Me and Maeve made our first shorts together at the NUTV Summer Film School program
Nice.
and the first year that they did that. So we definitely had like a long history, and that's also a part of like why I felt safe with the vulnerability too. It's just
Yeah,
like these
yeah.
are just people I trusted and was like, okay, like here's this weird thing. You're not trying to please a studio exec or anything. You're just
Right.
like, hey, like this is an honest
Or even
piece of
like try
writing I
like
did.
to justify yourself, right? Which can sometimes what it feels like.
Exactly. Yeah. It like the starting point was friends who trusted my mind, and that
Hmm.
was just a great place to go from. I'd say one of the main like new collaborations that was really fruitful was with my cinematographer Annabeth Tronson.
Hmm.
I'd like not really met her. We hadn't talked too much when I had first pitched the idea to her, but she would come to a lot of Cinematheque screenings. Her dad would come to a lot of Cinematheque
Hmm.
screenings and was like, they're both hardcore regulars. And we just like followed each other on Instagram. I knew she was a cinematographer and needed a cinematographer. So I liked what I'd seen of her work, and it was kind of cool to like. I felt like everyone was like a level of emerging that we all kind of had a fire under our ass to just make something really cool.
Hmm.
So with her especially, I found we both had a really similar vocabulary of films we liked to be able to talk about and like an excitement about making something that was like really aligned with a lot of like art house influences, and we could just like hype each other up with like,
That's
okay, how are
cool.
we gonna achieve a certain look? So it was my
Hmm.
first time having like a proper DOP, and it was her first time DOPing like a actual short. So there was a lot of like energy that felt like it was
Hmm.
exciting to ride.
This is just me saying this as an observer for the most part, but there does seem to be this emergence of some queer filmmakers here in Calgary making shorts primarily and stuff like that. So I would love to see that continue to grow and build and stuff, which is
Yeah.
really, really exciting to see. For you, I know you are kind of at the beginning of your career here. How important is it to you to continue having like that queer influence within your work?
I don't know. Lately, I'm like, oh, like maybe I should try writing something that just like sells to a mass audience.
Right,
But
right.
even if I were to try writing that, I know that my like POV would have queer subtext to it, if
Right.
that makes sense. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I even if I'm writing a story about a straight couple, I'm looking at it with my queer eyes. So
It can be very
it's
much like the
but
Todd Haynes thing I find, which is like even if he does write a story or do a movie that features
totally.
like straight people, it's like this feels very gay. Like there's something about it. Yeah.
Exactly. And
Hmm.
I don't know, I think being a human is a queer experience, and that
Yeah.
cinema, like especially like the films that I like, understand the I don't know. I did a
Hmm.
lot of queer like in my undergrad, I did a master's or I did an honors thesis about like queer coming of age cinema and
Hmm.
read like so much queer theory and so much like theory
Yeah,
about
yeah.
queer cinema. So I feel like I'm like, oh, every movie is like queer if you look at it the right way. Like, so, but I would say to talk more explicitly and less like a pretentious person, yes, like I'd say my main mandate at this stage of my career, especially, is to try to tell really unconventional queer genre stories that
Hmm.
are different from what I've seen before and that are trying to kind of capture a specific feeling. I think with this one, I was capturing a feeling that was a big part of my career coming of age. So it's kind of
Hmm.
something I want to keep doing. Yeah, I'm kind of like waiting for the
Yeah.
perfect idea to land on me, which is never going to happen. But yeah, I'd say
You just wait for the
absolutely that
ideas
is a
to
big part
come.
of my
Yeah.
of my process. Exactly. Yeah.
I think this is like the perfect, marriage of a film festival versus a film. Like, Cuff is the audience you want to be in front of for this. As a reminder for people, this is playing during the shorts package that's called That Special Someone, April 20th at 7:15 p.m. over at the Globe Theater. Zach, thank you so much for taking some time out of your day.
Thank you, Kyle. It's a pleasure.